We keep talking about the risk side of climate. We should also talk about the opportunity side of climate. What's actually happening is the world is transitioning to a revolutionary new way of doing business, which is a low carbon way of doing business. Climate risk is a very serious risk for all investors, in particular the private equity community. What we mean by climate risk is the exposure of companies across the world to both the physical risk of climate and the second part, which we call transition risk. And the reality is every asset owner, every company is exposed to climate risk in some way.
Today's marketplace, every financial firm, every alternative asset manager is sought out as an advisor, not just for investment, but for advice and counsel on where the future's going. And considering carbon and climate in our investments, our employees are looking for us to be sophisticated in this space, our investors are looking for us to be sophisticated.
It is really important for asset managers to embed climate into all of their investment strategies for one very simple reason. If they don't do so, and if they don't think about the impact of climate, not just on the entire portfolios, but on individual assets in that portfolio, they are going to face significant destruction in value.
As we put Apollo's climate strategy together, the whole company was involved. More than 75 different individuals from different parts of the businesses, from partners to content experts, from our yield business all the way to private equity. It really involved education, getting everybody on the same page. KPMG did a great job of connecting the dots and drawing kind of learnings throughout the process. And then we've had to put the whole process into action.
There were three key elements to our engagement. Firstly was that benchmarking, looking across the market, what did Apollo need to be doing to meet expectations. Secondly, around designing levers of change that allow them to meet those expectations. And then finally, pulling that all together into a roadmap of activities which Apollo would undertake in order to meet that expectation.
The most important factor in creating the climate strategy for Apollo was really making sure at the end of the day, from the top levels of the organization at leadership all the way down to the deal teams, that there was a clear understanding of the input and the processes that were required to implement the climate strategy. And so the most successful part of this was really being able to ensure that each part of the organization understood their role and their part in executing the entire climate strategy.
The partnership with KPMG added a ton of value in this process because they were the project managers. Not only did they stay connected with the core team at Apollo, but they walked the entire company through the process. They invested their time, they invested their talent. They brought in the right expertise at the right time to work with us on the process, and they were able to kind of mix and match team members as we needed them.
For Apollo, we unlocked new opportunities simply by mitigating the particular risks that we identified through the climate strategy. That allowed them to both focus on not just mitigating the risk, but also looking at where new opportunities lay in the energy transition and focusing on ensuring that there was a strategy that was wrapped around identifying the best opportunities and the ones that made the most sense for Apollo in their business.
So having that common understanding of what they needed to achieve and how they could ultimately get there. And since that first phase, we've been engaged in a number of areas across the business to help them think through how to continually stretch themselves. And it's been really exciting to work with the Apollo team, who are all super engaged, super passionate, and really have been very enthusiastic about embracing and adapting to the climate agenda. For companies who don't embed climate into their strategies and their thinking, there is a really big risk. They aren't able to continue to meet the expectations of the regulators, of their customers and of their suppliers, and that is a really big business risk for companies around the world.
The one message I give to my clients, to governments, to anybody who's prepared to listen to me is please don't get left behind. This is a revolution that is accelerating in front of our eyes. And if you do not embrace the reality of climate and how it can impact on your business, your organization, or your investments, you will be left behind.